You know me as always. Sorry, I think I had myself muted for that. Welcome in, everybody. You know me as always, Sandals. And here we have...
a frozen photo. You get my video fixed, man. But his suit. It's gonna be a good week. We got some good topics this week.
Yes, sir, we do. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. So, this is our second ever episode, and we're going to try to make it real interesting for you guys because there's been a lot going on in the world in this last 2 weeks, week and a half or
January has been rough. January's been rough.
Started with fires in California, and now it's fires in Washington, hey?
That's a pretty accurate description of what's been going on the last week since the new administration has taken over. We're not even going to cover, I don't even remember how many executive orders he's released, but it is not able to be counted on your fingers and toes.
It really isn't, on one hand or on two, and Lord knows what he's going to be bringing in, let's see, on Monday, right? Like there's just so much going on. So what we've tried to do for you is prepare you a beautiful little show with a couple of the main talking points that you guys might want to know about that's been going on in the United States government this week.
Righty. First week on YouTube. Glad to be here. Are we gonna do our sponsors?
I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors, Jiffy Lube, Coca-Cola, and Trojan brand condoms. Thank you guys so much. We use you every single day in many different applications. Just kidding. None of them sponsors us yet. Yep. So welcome in, everyone. We're going to start today with an awesome topic. I'm really curious about this one. The drilling of Alaska, Alaskan energy, my friends. So
yes, one of the many executive orders. It's called Unleashing Alaska's Extraordinary Resource Potential.
Executive Order number 14153. Bing.
Yeah, that's specific.
Welcome to Alaska, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't it so beautiful?
It is, and it's beautiful because we're not tapping into its resources.
that is part of the argument, yes. So a lot of you guys may know Alaska as this beautiful retreat to go to where there's just a bunch of bears and wildlife and just absolutely breathtaking scenes. But the United States government also classifies it as an extremely resource-rich area. And as a result of classifying it as an extremely resource-rich area, there is underneath this image right now, for example, you guys see in front of you, we might have oil, gas, gold, Lord knows what else is sitting underneath
Timber.
this timber. Oh yeah, if you wanted to clear cut the forest, baby, let's go.
You got seafood. I mean, there's a lot of resources up there that aren't just oil.
And that begs, because you said something good right now. You said oil and trees. Fish and trees. So if we consider the fact that fish and trees are a resource, let's say separate of oil and gas, do you think that at any point in time, fish and trees and oil and gas might have like a separate kind of interest when it comes to resource gathering?
Yeah, but I mean, when you see this EO and you read it, you're really focusing on the minerals and the oil. I don't think many of us are like, oh no, they're going to cut down all the trees. I mean, it's in the back of your mind, but it's more the oil mining, the pipelines, and then the minerals, because they're going to be looking for those, rare resources that are really expensive and controlled by just a few minority countries right now.
That's true. And specifically in the executive order, we're not going to give you guys like a show of the executive orders. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to go ahead and just list in the chat different federal registers or like the actual image of what it is or the text. So if you guys wanted to kind of like read more in depth of it as we discuss it, you'll have the opportunity to do that as we talk about it. But basically the order specifies minerals, natural gases, petroleum products, things of that nature as to be allowed now for excavation and for exploration. But specifically as well, it eases lease restrictions for said exploration and said resource gathering from the federal government. And I don't know, I'm personally kind of on the fence about it because, we've got this beautiful place, right? And then you get installations like this placed upon it and around it, that's not really all that beautiful, right?
Yeah, this was a hard one for me as well. I mean, there's a lot of these. The way I think about it is, if you do things right, sure. But if you just open floodgates, there's a lot of potential here for abuse. And Alaska's a beautiful state, a beautiful place, and you saw that image, right? And there's plenty of other images like that. If you look, like, what does it mean you start allowing, unlimited amount of companies start getting licenses, start tapping into these resources, just going around and prospecting, making the logging trails and making the excavations. There's you go up to Alaska on a vacation and you come across this field. It's like, oh, that's kind of an eyesore, right?
Yeah, I want to take a sweet selfie. Now I got to Photoshop that out.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. There are a lot of resources, a lot of money up there that could be freed up, give the U.S. more cheaper for resources for us, and then exporting as well. But I don't know. It's really how it's done. And I don't see this going well. I see it as being a land rush now that the gates have opened. And it's just going to be, before anything can happen, there's going to be a bazillion companies with licenses and buying land. And I don't know.
I agree. I think that it's going to be, it's not going to be a good thing. And mainly the reason why I think it's not going to be a good thing is because, like, let's say it's, the early 1900s, 1800s, when the first or the most recent giant land grabs of American history have occurred, right? The California Gold Rush, the Alaskan Rush, these sorts of endeavors. During those times, there weren't multinational energy conglomerates connected through digital service that were able to just show up in the span of hours. Like, as soon as that executive order was lifted, I'm more than certain major energy conglomerates have sent people straight to the places they've had eyed for years, right?
But yet they still cut down all the forests and everything to do these things. So yeah, I don't know.
Build a road, kill a forest.
Part of this is like rescinding some of the Alaska Native lands that have been given in trust, like reviewing what's been marked for Alaska Natives. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
That's true. In the executive order, there has been a memorandum set by President Trump to review federally protected lands and their designations to see if they fit the designation. So I don't agree with that at all, and I don't want any lands to be redesignated. But in that pursuit and endeavor, I'm only playing devil's advocate here. There's two things that concern me. One, we don't make enough energy for ourselves as a country, but we do manage to export a lot of that energy. So we have to either balance making money through export or providing it for our own people. So in a sense, getting more energy would be a good idea. But as I was saying earlier, multinational, high-level businesses are going to be the ones that move in and perform this action. It's not going to be a grassroots movement. It's not going to be a company owned by the state of Alaska that goes in and does it. It's not going to be one that's run by tribal elders or something that has, I suppose, the most conscientious and like people-friendly view. And that's what concerns me. But at the same time, we got to get our money. We got to provide ourselves independence.
All I can think of is, have you driven through central U.S., like, Oklahoma, Texas area?
Oh, yeah.
It's just fucking oil rigs galore, just fucking everywhere. It looks awful. All I can think of is that's coming to Alaska. You're driving down Alaska and looking at the beautiful scenery, and then, oh, there's an oil pump. Oh, there's an oil rig. There's a line. There's a logging trail, because, I don't know. I can see it working. Yes, there's stuff up there. We should definitely tap into it. But you're going to have to put some kind of, legislation involved and some approval process to be like, okay, this is how you're going to do it. You have to abide by these rules. So it has to be, certain square footage or acreage that you can only do each year. You have to replant the trees when you're done. I don't know what it is. There's a lot to it, and we don't need to get that down the rabbit hole. But there's a way to do this correctly. I just don't see any of that in here. All I see is rescind the pending or deny the pending request to make this a sacred site. Remove some of the Native American lands. Re-look at the National Park Service's areas that they have for national. It's just a lot of tearing down the walls, but not a lot of making sure that there's not going to be like an issue.
And if there is an issue, what's most likely to occur is probably this. And that's the fear that a lot of people have, is if we open up these areas to exploration and we open them up to certain types of, you know, I should call, lack of a better term, molesting the environment, this exactly might be the case. And that's what people fear. Another Exxon Valdez spill, another toppling of an oil rig, another burst pipeline, and you can never get back what you lost after such an event. And I find that there's some credit to that, and I don't want to take this lightly. And one more concerning factor on this topic is the government says, yo, free for all, have fun. Who are they going to contract to prospect this place? Like, the government isn't going to send the Army Corps of Engineers in to check the stability of this. That's going to be something reliant on information pulled by the companies that are interested. The federal government doesn't have the resources to allocate to go pre-inspect every site and double check environmental safeguards. They're going to rely on the companies to do that adequately.
Well, at the same time that you're doing this there's executive orders to reduce the size of the government and all these other things. Like, that they're not going to have the resources to focus on this. This is one of 20 whatever EOs that immediately got released, and it's just like, I get it. I get where you're coming from. You have 4 years in office. Slow down. Get a team together. I don't know. I don't like the way that this one, along with a couple others we'll talk about, are just happened right away.
Truly. We'll see how this develops. I personally am against it. If I just can say my full piece about it, I don't think it's going to be a good idea for America to endanger its national interests in terms of beauty, tourism, populace health. But I also know that there are certain places and avenues or certain ways in the modern day that we could do this, that we can actually get, you know, somewhere with it and some sort of a gain, and not feel like, oh shit, here's another spill.
Why don't we go and do this in Greenland instead?
Yeah, why don't we go do it in Greenland? Great. Yeah, why don't we go to Greenland? Let's do that. Boom. Welcome to Greenland, ladies and gentlemen. Look how pretty that is. It's like the Eastern Alaska.
So that brings us to our second topic here that we wanted to discuss today. The purchasing of Greenland. You've probably seen this in the news, more of a joke in the previous years, but it's getting some traction here recently, and Trump says he's not joking, and his administration is not joking. Personally, I don't understand how you buy something that isn't for sale without force. But, you know, that's not out of the question, according to the administration either, that force or, you know, economic persuasion could be used against Denmark to take Greenland. For those of you who don't know, Greenland is kind of like a version of, you know, Puerto Rico is to the U.S. They're their own autonomous nation, but they kind of fall under Denmark, where, you know, Puerto Rico falls under the U.S. So they're not owned, but kind of are. I don't really know how that works. It's kind of really confusing when I looked into it, but basically, we'd have to go through Denmark to get permission, or pressure Denmark to give it to us. And I think with the polls I was reading, Greenland doesn't want to become part of the U.S. They're willing to work with us, and I think we have a base there already anyways, but they only have 55,000 people. I don't know how many turned out to vote, but the vote didn't go very well. It was like 40% or something, so yeah. Greenland.
Yeah, I think it's, I'm kind of concerned based on the positioning of our government, of the Trump administration, the United States government. I mean, I'm a U.S. citizen, so I might as well just say our government. I'm kind of really disturbed about the positioning of it, because I know that based on Trump's personality, he does certain things that creates an uproar, and then beneath the uproar, it's like he starts a fire.
Behind the scene.
Yeah, yep. He starts a fire, and then everyone's dealing with the smoke in the air and the blaze in front of them. And while the fire's going on, he's underneath the smoke, crawling across, grabbing the papers he needs and the things he needs out of the room. And then when it's all said and done, he's got all the stuff in his hand, and he's making new statements before anyone can call him out on the fire he started, you know?
Yeah, I 100% agree. There's so much going on right now. It's hard to understand where he is and what the administration is currently doing. It's just throw everything at the wall, see what kind of sticks, right? And some of this isn't going to work. So he's going to get, injunctions and legal lawsuits against him. Senate and House are going to not agree with a lot of this stuff. But right now, there's so much going on that it's hard to focus. So what the heck's going on? It's insane. But besides the point that Greenland isn't for sale, what would be a good reason to acquire Greenland? Now, obviously, if you didn't know, it's bigger than the country of Australia. It's actually the largest island since Australia is a continent. It's huge. It's huge. And you don't see that on the map. You know how the globe works. It's round, unless you're a flat earther. I'm sorry.
Shout out Mercator projection.
But it's huge, and it's mainly covered in ice. But the resources, the lithium, I'm sure there's natural gas, oil galore there, right?
They have
Obviously,
a Lego factory. They do have a Lego factory in Greenland.
Oh, that's a reason to buy them. But it's another resource grab. And we're not going for the 55,000 people that live there. This is a resource land grab. It's also the midpoint of the fastest route from the East Coast to Europe for the military planes. So, that's a very big strategic location, military-wise, and enforcing your will upon Europe and that area of the world. So, I don't know. I can see the benefits. I just don't see why. Why? They're already working with us. They're already, a close ally. We have a base there. I just don't see why you have to throw this into the bucket of everything else that's going on.
I look at it as a two-way problem. I think one, because you're talking about national security, Greenland, alongside with the northern Canadian regions, even where Alaska is placed, is a central NORAD hub area for detecting missile launches from across the globe. Because you look at a map and you think if China fires a missile at us, it's going to go across the Pacific Ocean, across the United States, and then hit the East Coast. So they want to do no. It's going to go up north to the North Pole, and then as the Earth rotates, rotates, it'll drop back down to where it needs to hit. That's how missiles work.
Why didn't you have a video for that, man? Jeez.
I should have had a video for that, but oh well.
But we're already there. We already have a base, and we already have our assets there. Like, I don't understand the point of saying no. Now this land's ours when they're already working with us.
That is part of it too. I think the second part of it is because we want to have a full closure of the area of NORAD's like screening area, although we already do in our current situation with Greenland. I think the second impetus is Trump looking at it with a sense of like, it's the US, it's literally us, US vs W world. I think that's how he kind of looks at it based on we're gonna talk about that in a minute, the World Health removal, World Health Organization exit, his designation of foreign cartels as terrorist organizations, the way he's positioning himself with other governments is, I would call it antagonistic in a sense, to say like, nah, enough's enough, fuck you, we're the big dog and we're gonna start taking our bites. And I think this is his way.
America, fucker.
Yeah, and dude, I think that's just so immature. We don't need to call it the Gulf of America. Let Mexico have something. We already do everything in that Gulf. But like, I think that's the way he's acting like an American. We are in our own little continent, islanded from anyone around us that would try to even step to us for a half a second, and we're gonna start behaving exactly, and we're gonna start behaving like that. That's how I see his stancing in this, and that he's trying to kind of give the world. I don't want to call him smart, but he kind of wants to give the world a wake-up call, like, hey, we're America, pay attention. If we want to do it, we're gonna do it.
It's the Trump effect, is what I like to call it.
Yeah, he's trumpeting, straight up trumpeting.
Politics. He knows exactly. He's smarter than you think. Everyone's out like, oh, this idiot. No, this is a tactic. It works. There's so much going on. There's so much pressure. It's just like, Google's changing the name of Gulf of America, the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. It's insane. The rest of the world. Yeah. The rest of the world.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad.
Too damn bad. Right?
It's like the Sudetenland, but America. Let's appease him. Maybe if we give him Greenland, he won't want Ireland. Just kidding.
Which is genius. Just look at the resources he'll end up with and the strategic value. I mean, I can't get mad at it, but it doesn't make sense. The Greenland one's better than the Alaskan one, though. I'm for it, but it's not for sale. So at the same time, it's like, I'm not for taking it by force.
I have to say that I feel like I'm against it. Because historically speaking, right, it's not the first time that America has talked about acquiring Greenland for the sake of national interest. We've been talking about this since the Jackson administration, Andrew Jackson, since the days of Franklin, since the days of statehood, since we became a colony and then we became a country. Even England wanted in on Greenland, to be honest. But at the time, Denmark was fuck with us and find out. So at this point in stage, it's not like this is not an idea presented by the sake of Trump's ballsack. It didn't come out of him. It came out of years and years of analytics and Americans saying, you know what? Why don't we just make it part of America? What are you doing with this bitch all the way across an ocean?
Going against that too. So let's think about it from this angle. What about Alaska? Were Americans thinking the same thing when we purchased Alaska? Were they thinking the same thing, when we purchased Hawaii and it became like, was it an absurd idea? And then all of a sudden, hey, now we have Alaska. Would this be one of those things where America, like, why do we want Greenland? All of a sudden we have Greenland. And then it's like, good thing we have it. I don't know. I see the both sides. Like I said, if they're willing to somehow barter for something, I don't know what that is. But it sounds like they don't want to sell and Greenland doesn't want to be sold. So I don't know. This just seems like a dumb misdirection.
Historically, precedent-wise, Alaska, when purchased, no one knew that there was resources there. It's just that everyone thought it was this dead hunk of rock on the northernmost part of the world. And when we purchased it, oh, bro, Russia's pissed. To this day, they're pissed. They're just fucking mad about that. Because nobody knew. And then with Hawaii, that was a territorial grab specifically for two reasons. Positioning in the Pacific Ocean and resources. We saw the plenty of the land. We saw how good it was for growing fruit and vegetables. Our American conglomerates came in, took it over, and then toppled the in-place government and turned it into a state. So those two are separate. Where we are now with Greenland, it's more akin to Hawaii, where it's like, we see the resources, we see the value, we want that. And are we going to become full American imperialists again for it? I hope not, because I have this to say. I hope not, because we may get Greenland, but our passports won't be good in the European Union anymore. We won't be able to travel openly. We won't have non-visa arrangements. The Schengen zone is gone. We've just
what separates the U.S. from the Russia at that point with Ukraine? Like, they're like, I want it, we'll take it by force. Like,
it's for national security.
We're not going to send our military there to take it, but we're going to use economic pressure and military. Hey, we're not going to support you, the Netherlands anymore, or
Denmark.
Whatever it may. Denmark, sorry, they're close by.
They would have a real problem with you saying that. I'm just letting you know. They would have a real problem with you saying that.
But like I said, we can't politically force anyone to give us a country. That just seems all right. It's not for sale. Move on, right?
Yeah, no Kuwait actions here.
Good segue to our next topic.
Our next topic is who dis? The World Health Organization. The exiting of the World Health Organization. So,
I'm gonna start with this. I fully agree. Let's leave. All right, next.
Right? So, Executive Order 14155 by Donald J. Trump. Let me go ahead and put that text for you guys in there so you guys can get a look at it if you want to as we talk about it. So, basically, it is what it is. The United States is thinking of leaving the World Health Organization. And to wrap a story, honestly, it's not really that long of a point for me to say, but yes, I agree with it 100%. I think that the handling of the COVID-19 situation, I think the handling of funds provided by multiple countries and the gross amount that the United States puts into the program versus the rest of the world, alongside, like, it seems like quarreling odds between the government and the organization itself, at least throughout the last couple of years that I've seen, even in the Biden administration, the Trump administration, and therefore so forth. It just seems like the smartest idea. Why are we involved with an organization that doesn't have our best interests at heart and simply seems to like undermine what we want as a country as well as what other countries want? Now you might say, what do you mean undermine? Like, COVID was real, bro. Are you trying to say COVID was? No, COVID was real. Some of the steps we took was real. Some of the steps we had to do was sound and logical. But overall, the way that it was handled, the way that the entities and organizations are funded and what sort of special interests that impart an impact onto that have affected this. And outright, we just spend too much money. You guys know how much money the United States gives to the World Health Organization in relation to other countries?
Tell us.
Let me show you.
Oh, you have the chart.
I would have had the chart up for it, but the type of contributions being made by the United States are
It's 22%.
yeah.
22% of the 1.1 billion. So we give up 261 million dollars to WHO every year, and I forget how many countries in it. Basically, every freaking country is in this. So we're paying for the whole thing, or the majority of the organization.
And the qualification of the organization to even assist the United States with anything, if we're providing 25% of your funding, we're basically self-funded. The World Health Organization doesn't do. How much humanitarian work does the World Health Organization do in America to merit us giving to this sort of like a fund? Are we just here to protect the rest of the world at the expense of our own selves? I think that as an American, as a person representing this country, I can't agree with that. But I do have the sense, as you know, to put my sandals back on and take off my tie for a moment, I do have this sense of like, you know, obligation to the world to help them, to assist them. But is that even being properly executed based on this organization's history?
Exactly. The biggest benefit of being part of the World Health Organization for any country was supposed to be how we respond and report outbreaks, things like that, and control that around the world. And nobody else is following the guidelines. So COVID was a perfect example, right? If you go back through the history and how it spread, and countries weren't locking down, they weren't reporting properly. So China being the biggest one there, they weren't reporting numbers, they were making it favorable, right? Skewing the numbers and skewing the data. If no one else is playing ball,
it wasn't us. They said
it wasn't us. If no one else is playing ball, then what the heck is the point of the World Health Organization?
And what did they? This is my question. I mean, this is the part of the conversation that I wish that I did more in-depth research, because I have a bias that believes that the World Health Organization's response to COVID and the assistance provided to member states was absolutely dreadful, was not good, didn't really assist the world in any real way, besides through issuing mandates and recommendations that were basically turned into law overnight. Like in California, we had some of the strictest mask laws and restriction laws, and we even had curfew. We had a lot during the COVID. You'll never see the 405 freeway as empty as it was during COVID. I'll let you know that. So the world halted on paced breath, waiting for this non-governmental organization to give us information about what we should or shouldn't do. And did it actually end up doing as much good as it did bad? Now that's an argument for another day.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad.
Too damn bad. Yeah, I don't understand. It has benefits. I get it. I just don't think that you're saying their standards, right? The European standards are higher. I mean, you can make your standards higher. You can still follow the standards without being part of the WHO, but it tags you in. They're the only one complying, and you're paying in the majority of the money. I don't know. I like this one. This is one of the executive orders. I say, hey, don't touch, let it go.
I agree.
Is. Pull out, get the money back. I mean, that's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. You know, we're sending billions overseas, but 261 million for an organization that dropped the ball on the biggest pandemic in the world. That was their one job. Yeah, I'm out. I'm out on this one.
And that kind of makes me wonder, is it because the organization is incapable, or do you feel like maybe the structuring of the organization could be the issue?
Have you ever tried to get 196 nations or members of the World Health Organization to vote timely and, in agreement? Too many chiefs, not enough. That's one of those things, like kind of like the European Union. There's things that get too big and they end up being more of a barrier than they are an assistance. So I don't know.
Speaking of barriers and assistances when it comes to business, right? This leads us into our next topic, another executive order that was signed. And this is kind of what I was insinuating. Do you believe like the organization put its best efforts externally? And if you say yes or no, then the next question is, how about the internal structure of said organization? Is it a falsehood to believe that diversity, equality, and inclusion are a part of the World Health Organization's mantra?
Stop it. Get some help.
And here we go. Next topic.
Diversity. Oh, this is we're really going back to the DE. Is this the DEI one that we're gonna dive more? Yeah.
Diversity.
So, this is a hard topic to talk about because no matter what side you take, you're gonna piss somebody else off here. So I'm just gonna get right up there. DEI is the biggest joke.
Wait. Time out. Before we get into this,
fix my damn video.
I'm fixing it. My bad. I had to pause the song for this because before we get into this, I want to a trigger warning for everybody. We are talking about race. We are talking about sex. We are talking about age. We are talking about gender. If you are sensitive about this topic,
18 plus on this when he went live.
I did not, because we're not saying anything that's not suitable to be discussed in a classroom. It's just something that I'm warning anyone out there with a trigger. No, say what you wish. I'm just warning the chat that you are about to get into a deep place.
Of two white males starts talking about DEI. I mean, you're already across the line, right?
Hey, I'm white presenting, but I speak Arabic and I'm from Lebanon. Thank everyone in the chat. All right, I might look white, but I got the card.
Like my video keeps freezing.
My bad. I got you up.
You're not allowed to run that anymore. DEI in a nutshell. Why I have a problem with DEI, and I think that there's another way. Do I think we need a diverse workforce? It's good, right? It's good to have different people of different cultures and different beliefs and different upbringings and different experiences together to come up with fixes. However, the whole DEI program, when you say I need 20% this or 10% this or 50% this, destroys the credit of whatever organization or position you're putting these people in, because it's no longer based on credential. It's no longer based on skills. It's no longer based on your experience. The best way to do this, rescind everything DEI we've currently done, rescind it like it was, like it's being, and make it so resumes and applications have no information about race, sex, all that's gone. All you have is applicant 1, applicant 2, applicant 3. I believe if you do that, things will work out to be equal to what the population is. So if the population is 20% Asian in this, then you'll probably end up with 20% ish in your organization or whatever the heck you're trying to fulfill those positions. So it's completely based on credentials. You're going to get the best of the best. Now, if it happens to be some very specific engineer or whatever, it's all of a sudden all Asians. Well, that's probably because there's a lot of Asians that are getting that degree, and vice versa, right? And I never liked DEI. And when I was in the military, it was like, hey, we need to have 30% African American commanders. Okay, do we have? Oh,
that's a military thing too? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's definitely in the military. They released, recruiting as well. They had recruiting goals. That we want this many Asians, we want this many African Americans, we want this many women, and they had goals. So they have like a 20%, a 30%, whatever that might be. I don't know them off the top of my head. But when you base something on those goals, you're no longer looking at this person's going to be the best, especially in DoD. Like, there's no place in DoD. Like, you're trying to defend the country or serve. What does it matter what the skin color is? If they're the best at that, I want them. And I've always hated the way they did DEI. It was like, well, I need a black coach so that we're a cool organization. Like, no, you want a good coach so you can win. If he's black, that's awesome. But why are we even looking at race? I don't know. I can get really heated in DEI, but I want to hear your side on this.
Well, part of it, it's multifaceted, right? Like, let's say the composition of a country is 20% white people and 80% black people. Does that necessarily mean that in all sectors of the workforce you're going to see that 20-80 divide? You're not going to see that in every sector of the workforce. The reason why one of the reasons why this was instituted was because of social inequality as a result of the civil rights movement and years of slavery and years of prejudice that has been passed on by the United States government and its people as a whole, back to World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, World War I, Spanish-American War, keep going back, and there's always been the main enemy and us. And over time, the idea of like America being of all the people became more prevalent, but then when that idea came out, we still had to deal with racial bigotry and prejudice, which to this day still does exist in some way, albeit, thank God we don't have lynch mobs going around anymore. Thank God we don't have internment camps for, Japanese citizens. Thank God we don't have any of these sorts of things that have occurred by precedent. So the idea of having racial equality and diversity, equality, and inclusion programs to sort of make up the gap has been for that reason, to make up the gap that through years of inequality based on how life had been, we want to make it more open for the modern day so everyone gets a shot at the bucket. You know what I'm saying? So we're passing the ball. But throughout the last couple of years, we've passed the ball over and over and over and over and over and over. And the passing of the ball doesn't change the underlying societal aspect of it all. What I mean by that is you could have somebody who was included into a Harvard program because of their skin color, not necessarily their ability to perform.
Exactly.
And what does that change about the condition of why that person couldn't perform with that skin color? What does that change about the place they came from? What does that change about the economic disparity? What does that change? That doesn't change that. It just provides an opportunity for that person who was part of that to kind of get out of it. Now that's the rhetoric, that's the logic behind it. I posit and I argue
Emotional damage.
that's not the case anymore. To this day now, if like, at least from my view as a hippie, right, as the Sandals, as the guy from California, everyone's the same to me, man. I grew up in Los Angeles. I know Mexican food as well as I know like bacon and eggs, as well as I know an English breakfast. I knew how to make a taco and a burrito before I even knew how to make a souffle or anything like that. I knew how to make a whole bunch of things that are not my my identity, my culture.
We're dumbing it down to the very low level. Like, but just think of it this way: do you want when you go to the doctor because you're hurt or you're sick or there's something wrong with you? Do you want the doctor that was hired through a DEI initiative that he met the minimums and we needed it to reach this category? I don't care what it is, right? Or do you want the one that was the best of the class, had the best resume? It's not just doctors.
That makes sense, 100%. But I want to give like a reasoning behind that. Not just, oh, it makes sense, they're a better doctor, but it's like, well, yeah, but I'm trying to advocate for why we should eliminate it. It's not because of that sole reason. It's called, if you want people to be equal, stop treating them like they're different.
Yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate, do you think there's still people out there that will see an applicant and say, hey, I don't like that race. I don't want that guy.
Of course. But that's something that is a part of that societal problem that I was talking about just now. That's not, you could change the game, but are you going to change the players? And that's what we should be we shouldn't try to change the game to benefit certain players because other players are cheating. We should try to change the players to all play the same game at the same level. Now that doesn't mean, oh, because white man McCrow said, oh, this guy's name is Bo Jackson, he must be black, I don't like him, I'm not gonna hire him. Now Bo Jackson's in the same position. He's like, oh, this man's name is Matthew Thompson, I am not hiring no white guy for this. No, because that's called you leveled the players to the same level field. Now no one's gonna get a job because everyone hates each other. What you gotta do is say, what's his qualifications? Well, what's his former job? And I don't agree with taking names out or sex or any of that, because honestly, bro, if you're applying for an oil rig job and you're a 42-year-old woman, you shouldn't have been applying to begin with. I don't care how good you are. That's a liability. If you're a 25-year-old dude, that makes a lot more sense to bring you on the job because of this innate physical ability you may be able to harness. Now, that chick might get pissed about it and say, that's sexist, that's ageist, I know I could do my job. It's like, nah, honey, it's not something normally built for you. And that's where people will say, well, if we had inclusion and diversity, they'd be forced to give her that job. Like, yeah, but what's better, having a personal conversation with someone and figuring out if they are the right person, or forcing people to do something against thought just because?
Yeah.
And
I mean, this is a hard one.
Yeah,
just like you said earlier, I've never seen color like that. Like, I don't go into a room and go, oh, that guy's different than me. And
holy shit, there's so many black people in here. Nah.
And I've always thought when people start calling that out, it's more racist to me than not. Like, oh, we should let that guy go first, or we should let they need more. Like, I always thought that was weird. And I guess that's why I have this thing about DEI. I guess it's all your perspective too. So it's a hard topic to talk about. Do I believe in DEI being rescinded? I think that's really what the question is. That this executive order, do we agree with it? I agree with it because I think for the reasons that it was enacted and what they were doing, it was done wrong. I think there's other ways to do this.
I agree that I think we should keep it, but my reasoning is because I think it's done its job. It's brought us all to an equal line of sight with one another, and now it's no longer about who you are. It's about what you have to present for the country and for your people. I think
there's a lot of people that would disagree with us on that it brought us to a better place.
I think it brought us here, but
being dumped here too.
Okay, but let me say this, right? You're playing a video game and you're training on the low level maps. So your character can get stronger. You've stuck on that low level map for ages, like decades. You've been on that low level map and now your character is stronger. Do you continue to stay in the low level area with your stronger character, or do you move on to the next level, which may have different parameters, different enemies, different solutions to solving that level, but will empower you more than remaining where you are, believing you're going to continue to get stronger? Yes, you are going to continue to get stronger where you are, but wouldn't you get stronger faster with a different sort of program and a different level? That's the idea that I'm putting forward here. That's my take on it. This isn't working as well as it can.
With a new program.
Yeah, I feel like what we did to get here got us here. Wherever here is, there's still social inequality. There's still poverty. There are still people who hate each other. But
yeah, I mean, there's only one solution here, in my opinion, and that is just remove race from resumes.
I think that's good. Remove race.
Race and gender. Hell, I don't even care what your age is. Like,
what about criminal convictions?
Show me. I mean, depends on what you're trying to do, right? There's certain jobs that you can't have that. But regardless of what it is, if you remove everything that tells you about the person and just put the stuff that tells you about their credentials, their, what they're capable of providing you, that should be how people are selected. And I don't know the best way to do that, but it's not DEI. I know that.
I think that's the difficult thing here is because I have this beautiful little infographic I pulled up for us. Oh, look, diversity. I missed that cue. But anyways, I got this little infographic that I pulled up for us. It may not be very visible and clear for everyone to see, but this is listing the racial makeups of 4 of the top private colleges, or just colleges in the nation: Dartmouth, Harvard, Columbia, and the like. And as you can see, I mean, it is kind of cut and skewed, but you can see certain portions that show you the makeup of the student body. The makeup of the student body is extremely skewed.
So I think there's a big issue with this when you look at a chart like this. If you look at the ethnicities of a census from the US, it's 61.6% white, right?
Mm-hmm.
In these places, look how much lower it is. It's 46 at these universities. Now, Hispanic and Latino is 18.9% of America. It's 12% in one of these here, right? So that that's trending around. Black and African American is 12.4% of America. They don't equal. So why?
The disparity between white people in college based on the number of white people there are in America is much lower and a higher difference than the disparity between the national makeup of the other minorities. I don't believe that. And white people are actually the minority now in America. Fun fact. There's less white people than there are other races in America.
Legitimately. It's getting to that point.
Oh no, I'm oppressed. Help me. No. For me personally, that's not the case. The point being said here is that the way that these social quotas and these diversity programs work is at the expense of one race. It is at the expense of one race. He's a part of it, and I have a card for it. Does that mean that there's a big problem with it? No. I mean, dude, I got privilege for years. I ain't gonna complain about one thing. But I'm going to say this, in order to make it truly fair, not just to me, but for all my homies, all my brodies, everybody all across the world, my sisters and brothers from all other mothers, I don't believe that inclusion and diversity and equality is at the expense of exclusion of any other race. And I don't think that's what this is really telling us. What this is really telling us is even with these programs in place, there is still inequality, whether it be from the actual races themselves, Asian American, African American, Latino, or Hispanic, or white. Everyone is still kind of not getting the full ball here. But let me tell you something important about this point. Politics is the appropriation of different resources. That is what that means. Basically, the appointing of different resources, different people. And when it comes to politics, it's always going to be a happy compromise. There's always going to be a middle ground where we seek to have the most altruistic result. We got the most people, the most reward. Some people might have suffered, some people might not get the most, but we're trying to get everyone as much as possible. And I think in order to do that now as a culture, as a species, as a government placed country, we need to start focusing less on where people came from and what they do and who they are that impacts the world around them. And so,
Man, teamwork make a dream work.
amen, baby. And I think that getting rid of race as a merit or a point by which you judge someone's credit to be in or out of a program or a situation, that is rescindive. That is backwards thinking. We're still judging people based on where they come from and who they are. We're not judging them based on their capability or aptitude. That's important to me as a person. I want to see my country do that.
Or judging them on if they're wearing pants.
Yeah, bro, I don't like mandatory pants, bro. Nah, bro, dude, that's too much.
My favorite topic of the day.
This is the one he's been waiting for.
This is the closest one to home.
Oh yeah, let him in on it.
Home mandate. So yeah, if you're not tracking and you're not a government employee, you probably just didn't even see this or browse over it. But all government employees are being told to return to work. Telework and remote is dying, or is in the process of dying. Very similar to how Elon Musk took over Twitter, now X. He mandated everyone went back to work. So this is an email actually went out that was the same title that Elon used in Twitter that went out to all government, and it says the fork in the road, right? Basically, this mandate is mandating that we get back to a thinner, better government force to serve the public sector, and that everybody needs to return to the office. Now, this is a hard one for me. I just left the government, so I'm now a contractor. But
Bye, have a beautiful time.
yeah, this is a rough one because I know what they're targeting. There is, I'd say, about 20 to 25% of the workforce that is living off the system, fat and happy. And this isn't something new. This has happened before COVID and we did telework. The government is very hard to get fired from once you've been in, right? These positions, you can sit in them, do bare minimum, whatever that looks like to get your paycheck and get your 20 years and get your pension, right? So there are a lot of leeches, I like to call them, that are just kind of riding the system and they don't do a lot of work. I mean, I had them across my career, 13 years. Like they're about 50% chance you were going to run into someone in your office that you were like, oh my God, I'm not giving him any work because he sucks. And he's still getting paid as the guy who's working his ass off, right? I get it. That's what they're targeting. There's a lot of people, especially after COVID, and as people started working from home, that abused this. Their productivity went down, or they were just kind of watching cartoons all day and barely responding to emails. There's a lot of them, but this everyone return to work is the worst thing they could have done to trim the fat, because now you're going to lose some of the best employees you had who don't agree with this, who have changed their lifestyle to work from home. I know people that are more productive at home, myself included. It's just, you've now fucked the whole government over. Every employee, you basically stabbed them all in the eye, you spit in their face and said, you're coming back to work. I don't know. I don't agree with the way it was done. I get what they're targeting. But then I don't know if did you see recently too, they're doing this resignation now. So they sent out this email, and there's really nothing backing it legally right now. But it basically said, if you resign your government position by February 6th, we will guarantee you a job until the end of September. OPM says in most cases you won't even work. You'll just be on administrative leave during that period. So it's 7 months free pay, right? To leave. Hey, you don't have to abide by the new changes. You can walk away. He's trying to just get everyone who doesn't want to abide out. The issue is that's catch. It's like when you go fishing, right? And you put a big net, you're gonna catch the good stuff in there too, like the dolphins and the turtles. You gotta put. They shouldn't be part of the mass. This is a hard one. And my community, since I just left the government, I talk to a lot of people and see a lot of this stuff. They're in an uproar right now. It's absolutely insane. What's going on?
You make a good point about it too. The biggest problem so far is that blanket. A little bit of backstory on this too, by the way. So you're being offered 7-8 months paid leave. The same. Who's in charge of the Department of Governmental Efficiency right now? Who was just appointed as the Doge guy?
Yeah.
Elon Musk, right?
Elon Musk.
Now follow me down
He
this
sent that
rabbit
email
hole.
out.
Elon Musk, when he bought out Twitter, did the exact same thing with employees at Twitter, most of whom were also remote. He offered them the exact same position. And bear in mind, he did not pay a majority of those people who accepted the resignation. He cut them entirely, sent them to the curb. He did that specifically to see who is in the mindset of an easy dollar. Not loyal per se. Loyalty is a strong word to use. It's a psychological way of seeing who wants free money, because the person who wants free money is more likely than not, as you said, you're catching a bunch of good fish in this big net, but you're catching a bunch of gar that you don't want, and you're gonna get rid of that gar so they're out of your spot so you can get the fish you really want. That's what he's doing that for, is to see who's the lazy asshole who wants a free payday, because you're the one who's probably not working as hard as I want. The one who wants his job is gonna work to keep his job, is his mindset. So that's what he's trying to fish with that. And it's really destructive to the companies that he's worked for in the sense of company culture, but it's been really productive in terms of turning around companies he's worked for or working to increase efficiency. Does that care for the humans involved? No. But me personally speaking, if it was just that, if that was the only order, like if you want to quit, we might do more office work, but yeah, we're trying to cut things down, so we'll give you free pay if you want to leave. That'd be fine on its own. But forcing people to come back to the office as if that's going to increase their work productivity, that's complete poppycock.
Well, that's the issue too. Like, there's people that are going to be in the position to say, I don't want to go back. And they probably could go back. They're just down the road. They've been getting fat and comfy in their home, and they like working from home 4 days a week. But then there's a lot of the workforce who's adapted to this over the last 4 years, since, 5 years since COVID started happening and telework and remote became much more successful. They're kind of in a terrible spot here. They can't go back. They live halfway across the country. They have kids, and work-life balance that no longer allow for that are kind of be putting in this situation. Well, they're like, well, I kind of have to say yes, I'll resign. This seems like the only option because I can't go back to work. I think there's another step here that we haven't seen. I think in a week, after the 6th, you're going to see the next step. There's going to be you will be back by this date, which you've already seen in many offices. There's a lot of offices that you'd be back in the office within 30 days, by the February 10th I've seen. Some agencies are even less than that. You will be back. And if you can't, sorry, we're going to have to let you go. I think the next wave after this is, okay, you didn't accept the resignation. Now you'll be back in the office by this date, or you can go find another job. So I think people are put in this weird situation where they're like, well, am I going back? If you could, you're probably not going to accept the resignation. You're going to see how this shakes out, right? You're going to wait. But if you can't, there's really no other choice.
Yeah, they're tying your hands and putting you in a corner with a knife at your neck. Like, okay, what do you want to do? You're totally free to do whatever you want, by the way.
Yeah, this is a hard one. I get it. You're trying to trim the fat, but you targeted the wrong people. You're actually I think the government's actually gonna lose a lot of really good employees over this. So.
Well, I pulled some information for us about this subject too. It says, according to the source that I pulled, 26% of people preferred to be fully remote, 25% prefer to be fully in office, but the golden child is hybrid. 49% prefer hybrid work. Personally, me speaking, I love hybrid work. I like having a job where I've had them in the past where I guess you can call me when I go do my event production and I come and I stream. I'm in the office, but I'm also in my home or in my own personal space. And this is not my home, but it's my personal space in my own office. So it's that sort of thing where, yes, I enjoy being having a task maybe once or twice a week to go do, but for the most part being left to my own devices to finish whatever it is I have to get done. That is the most ideal way for me because I feel like I have autonomy over my schedule.
I'm very glad you brought this up because it depends on what you do. This isn't an entire government action. There are career fields in specific entities that could work from home. Like, let's think about this. You're working business or finance or contracting, and all you do is data entry and write contracts and why can't you do this from home? Now, if you're a customer service role and people have to come to you and you're working, that's something you should probably be in the office for, right? And then there's going to be a mix in between there. So this blanket, all government employees must return home, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, sure, that applies to CIA workers, doesn't it? Or FBI, or law enforcement, or military, or espionage. Nope, doesn't apply to none of those assholes.
Can't work from home. You're a doctor. You're not going to work from home. You're probably going to have to go into the office because you're going to have patients coming in. Like the entire DoD, this shouldn't have been. It just should have been very specific.
You know what's crazy, actually?
Public service positions.
You said it about doctors. In the modern day, there are teledoctors where all they do is sit at home all day on an office space, and then they just talk to a patient, and from there diagnose or prescribe or however it works. That's insane to me.
Get their erectile dysfunction medicine pretty easily without having to.
I heard, or you get like hair loss. They're so predatory towards men in our like life issues, like. Or maybe it's the bias you and I see because we're two men who've been on the internet, so our cookies are tailored towards us.
The ED, the hair, all the like. You can get a free subscription online by getting it.
I tested this actually. I made an account when I was a child, and I said my age at 45. And on that website, I was getting a whole bunch of like prescription medication ads and things like that. Yeah. I went back on that same site. I made another account. I set myself as my actual age. I was like 16. I was getting video game ads. I was getting like fun play, like Disneyland ads and shit. I was like, oh my god, this is so disgusting.
Yeah, it's definitely targeted. But I mean, just
same as this order. It's all targeted, and I don't think it's affecting good people. I think it's affecting the bad people. Yeah. Go on.
That was just to explain that there are career fields that you wouldn't even notice if they worked from home or if they're in the office, because they're just sitting in a cubicle farm in the middle of a building anyways. What's the difference if they're sitting from home? They're more productive, they're more comfortable, grabbing food from their own fridge. I work my ass off from home. I know a lot of other people that do, and there's always the people who ruin it. I think the way that this should have done is some kind of productivity tracker. There needs to be, and they're like, oh yeah, we did a study and there was more productivity when people started remote working and teleworking. Based on what factors? Because there's still people in there. I know personally, I've been around, there are people that don't do fucking crap, sitting from home, leeching off the system. Even when we were in the office, there was half the office that worked their ass off. Actually, I'd say 2 or 3 people that worked their ass off, got all the work, same pay as the guy in the other corner that nobody wanted to give any work to because they couldn't get it in time and he didn't know what the fuck he was doing, but he's still getting paid the same. It's the same system. You need to target productivity. I don't know what that looks like. I don't really want them micromanaging my mouse movements and shit at work, but there's a way to say, hey, this person is meeting all their deadlines. Their productivity is up, whether that be phone calls, emails, contract actions, finance, whatever that is. They're good to go. Oh, this person's dropped below our standard. They're gone. And that's the issue in government. No one ever gets fired. Once you're in, you're in. That's the bigger issue here at play. It is not whether you're remote working or teleworking. It is once you're past your probationary period, which is 1 year in a government position, you basically can't get fired.
It takes a lot to get you fired.
A lot of paperwork, a paperwork trail over years, and no one's willing to do that paperwork, first of all, because you're busy. And then the next person turns over because you change leadership all the time, and your paperwork goes away and you start over. No one ever gets fired, and that's the biggest issue. You want to fix the government and why the broken public service and the people who are eating the meat off the bone. Get some kind of standard and make it so you can fire people. That's the best.
Or at least, because you highlighted it perfectly, the same person who's trying to fire you has to now deal with the extra workload of firing you on top of their own workload. It shouldn't be that way. It should be a department of human resources that does that, where you don't have to go through all that. You just put in the word. They say, okay, you sign 1 or 2 papers about it. You might go to a meeting about it, but that's it. You don't got to go through several leagues of extraordinary pressure to get somebody out of the office and replace with someone who's adequate and fit for the position.
Not to mention the replacing process takes fucking 9 months to a year to get someone back in because of how long it takes to go through the government hiring, which they're trying to fix. That's another EO.
But the
government
chaff
hiring.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. You try to hire someone, it's like, it's out of your hands because everything has to go through one agency or one
OPM?
office to hire everybody in the Air Force or wherever you are that you work. It's absolutely crazy.
And the fun fact, right? the people who are responsible, the email by OPM, there's an email account on OPM that is the designated one for the return to work order and to put in your resignation. That one email account is run by an appointed, not by the government, but by Elon Musk woman. On top of that, the entire account, the entire OPM department specified for this, according to what I've read, and I'll post this for you guys here, by fortune.com, and we all know Fortune to be a pretty legitimate source when it comes to business news and governmental affairs. According to fortune.com, the two people who are appointed to this committee for designating people of hiring or firing is a 2024 high school graduate who had worked with Twitter to design a back-end program, and a 21-year-old and a high school graduate are deciding the futures and lives of our longest serving government employees. A high schooler and a 21-year-old, as if they are fit to understand life. They are fit to understand people. They are fit to understand this world. That disgrace, appalling. I am sickened to my stomach believing what this is going to do to our... Listen, you're getting rid of our top thing. We're doing a brain drain. This is like Stalin. This is like Hitler era shit. I'm sorry to glorify this and say it. You're comparing two different things. No, I'm calling this a brain drain. You're taking your best people and you're kind of making them not want to be involved in your government anymore. You're taking people who are otherwise moderate, not extremely inclined, who don't really want to serve any political purpose. They just want to help their country and their people, and you're shooting them. You're shooting them point blank in the forehead, and you're hoping that they survive. Because if they survive, oh, cool, you survived, you're good. No, you're gonna kill 99% of everyone that's involved in your country that helps your country.
This is one of the executive orders or, admin actions that I definitely don't agree with the way it's being done. Yep, there was fat to be trimmed, but you're killing it. I think I want to read this before we move on to our next topic. The way that they put it on the fact channel, right? So it's, why am I being offered this resignation? The federal workforce is expected to undergo significant near-term changes. All this stuff that's going on, right? As a result of these changes, or for other reasons, you may wish to depart the federal government on terms that provide you with sufficient time and economic security to plan for your future and have a nice vacation. What in the actual insult slap in the face is that to put that on the opm.gov to say and have a nice vacation? Thanks for your service. Fuck you. We're moving on because we're changing the who's answering? Is that the 21-year-old who put that answer on
That's
there?
upsetting me to so many degrees. I believe it is the 18 or 21-year-old who wrote that. I believe it was the 21-year-old girl or 24-year-old woman who wrote that. I don't want to call her a girl. She's old enough to be a woman, but her behavior is... This is the sort of shit where you're... The only people who will follow blindly are people that are too immature to think for themselves, or people who want to see themselves move, or people who are poor, or people who have a personal vendetta to go towards that.
And so sadly, the last category you didn't get there is the people that don't have any other choice.
That too. Well, that's what I meant is you think the youngest population, at least from my understanding, is the most depressed at this time because they don't have a lot of hope going for them, really. Like, I mean, in my generation, I had to deal with it. Your generation, you dealt with it too. Generations before, they all had their own way of dealing with it. But I feel like the generation now, morals goes out the window because they have grown up for the last 30 years, 20 years, 10 or 15, however long, with no strong moral compass, not a lot of like role models. People got their families, but people have been corrupted through the ages of the same shit. This leads us to this sense of hopelessness, dejection, and people will follow the fun. They're gonna follow the ferry. They're gonna follow the fucking happy trail, no matter where that goes, because they don't see anything else. And the same thing, forcing government employees to either abide exactly the way you want or have a nice vacation. Oh, bro, dude, that's the kind of shit where screw the January 6th stuff and raiding because my freedoms, you ruined my election. Nah, bro, this is the kind of shit you should be raiding for.
Yeah, so we're going way over time on this topic, so we should go into the next one and do a little quick. But yeah, absolutely crazy. I don't agree with the way they did that.
I think that the bad days are ahead with this one, but let's pray to God.
It's only gonna get worse.
Speaking of only getting worse, let's talk about our border.
We're going to quickly talk about our border because this one we don't want to go down the road. I mean, this has been around for years. This has been a problem since Trump was in, even before Trump's first take of office. So, the border wall.
Now, this executive order for securing our borders is a separate order that was given to the cartel, but we're going to include both of these orders together for you guys. So Trump just this last week issued an order improving or talking about immediately improving border security, locking down the borders for a majority of immigration uses and needs. And on top of that, designating foreign cartels, mostly present in Mexico, as terrorist organizations. So from my perspective, this is like a hat trick. He hit 3 goals here. He's like, all right, we got too much shit coming through the border. We're gonna lock that down. Too many unregistered Americans is what I'm gonna call y'all. Not legal aliens. Y'all unregistered Americans. You got the right to be an American, but you didn't register and go through the process. So you got unregistered Americans coming into the country. We don't care about Canada so much because Canada, you guys are awesome. Don't pretend like you're bad people, right? But then
they don't want to come here.
Yeah, Canada's got it going on over there. They got swimming pools and they got snow-capped mountains. They got everything up there. They're good. So
hockey.
Yeah, hockey. Hockey's the only sport I know of where you can legally fight someone else and you both don't get in real trouble for it. That's so beautiful to see. So God bless you guys for that. But basically, Trump's doing a triple hat trick here. He's saying lock down the border, improve security, and improve the reasons why people can get in here and how easy it is for them to get in here. We don't want that. We want that to be a little more difficult. And at the same time, designate these non-governmental organizations that are cartels that are not part of the Mexican government. So we're not going to say, Mexico, you're the problem for this. We're going to say, no, those cartels are, and now they're terrorists. And since he designated them terrorists, he can take extra powers as an executive in order to do certain actions or certain special missions in regard to those organizations without the need of congressional approval and without the need of anyone else to tell him what to do. Because Trump, I think he's got a target on the cartels right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the main portion of this was the walls, right? Too, like, this was something he did when he was in office the first time. He was building the walls, getting the walls up. I mean, that was his big election campaign too. He's just continuing that. That's not a big change for us. We kind of expected that. We want, he's going to finish this project. The big part of this is the designating of terrorist organizations for all these cartels and drug smuggling rings. So that, like you said, opens up a lot more funding, a lot more, legal actions he can do to these people. And there was a related thing here too. You saw the deportation, right? He's sending planefuls back to these countries. I mean, some of them you've seen are rejecting them. They're
Hot
in handcuffs.
topic.
They're criminals. Yeah, that's a hot one. And they're bringing them back. So it's just opening this door where he can use the military involvement here. I mean, it's kind of crazy. A lot going on with this one.
People are getting really terrified about that, though, if I might interject. They're getting terrified about sanctuary cities are no longer sanctuary. Like, just recently, LAPD has openly said, no, we're going to work with the federal government. We're not going to go against them, right? And other major cities like Boston, New York, all of these cities that were known as sanctuary cities are no longer sanctuary cities. But here's the fun part. I've heard so much rhetoric and jargon. My sister, God bless you, Nat, she was telling me about this earlier. She's like, Selena Gomez is one of the biggest Instagram accounts, like more than even like Madonna or more than Kim Kardashian. She has like the most followers. She just posted a video where she's like, I'm sorry, guys. She's like crying, like it's like a shot of herself crying or like a picture. And she goes into this long, I kind of want to call it a tirade because of how she posits herself as like I could have done something about this. I'm sorry, guys. I tried my best. I couldn't do it. I'm so scared right now. I hope America gets through this. Like, she's influencing other people to believe that ICE and government organizations are coming into sanctuary cities and kidnapping people who don't have citizenship and taking them back to their countries. When in reality, I want everyone to know this because I've looked into a couple of stories. The only people getting arrested are rapists, murderers, drug dealers, violent offenders, people who've done the most fucked up shit you can think of. I heard it all. And you guys are telling me I should be upset about that? I'm not upset about that. Take them.
A lot of emotion going around with this one. Our school, my kid's school, sent an email about they no longer have the protection to keep ICE or the police from coming in and taking out children. that are deemed to be. They sent out an email about it. I mean, that just sending that email and that message, even if it's not happening, is raising a lot of alarms on people.
Yeah, you're causing panic thinking that normal people, I mean, someone who's actually a genuinely good person is going to all of a sudden get thrown into the back of a van in handcuffs and taken back to their home country.
ICE isn't rolling around a Home Depot and picking up all the illegal immigrants. This isn't what this is targeting. This is going to be one of those things, though, that kind of is a wide net. You're catching the wrong fish, right? So you cast this out, and some unregistered citizen or illegal alien, whatever you want to call them, gets pulled over or something. At this point now, you're going to get brought into this, right? They're going to be like, where's your card? Where's your green card, or where's your citizenship? That becomes a problem. But the real target here is the criminal organizations, the ones that are killing the children, the ones that are shooting each other up in these cities, and the drug wars and the rapists and all these bad people. But there are going to be some good people, no matter what you do, they're going to get caught in this, just because all these restrictions and safety nets are now gone. And you could just get into a fender bender that wasn't even your fault, and now you have to, you can't explain yourself. You're not a citizen.
That is problematic.
That is problematic. But there's no real protection for you now.
I have anecdotes to share about that. A friend of my sister's, she's been in the country for half a decade. She has an account on Instagram where she posts her cat. It's got like thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. She makes an income off of that. She just got with a guy in the last year. She's pregnant. I think she just had a baby. Do you hear everything I just told you this non-documented person did in the last 5 years? Right? Good stuff. Great. Did you think of getting your paperwork at any point in time in the last 5 years while you were doing all these things? Did you ever for one moment say, you know what, I'm already here. I should be able to apply to get this and remain here. I'm gonna go work through legal channels. I'm gonna take some of my money. I'm not gonna buy bougie shit. I'm not gonna buy purses. I'm not gonna buy dresses. I'm not gonna buy stupid outfits for the cat. I'm gonna take a couple $100, not thousands, $100, couple hundred. Give it to a lawyer. Get my shit moving. Moving.
I mean, like you said when you introed this topic, there's a process to come over the border, whether that be asylum, whether that be seeking citizenship. There's lots of different reasons to come here, and there's different protections for those reasons. But if you're just coming over illegally, sorry,
thank you. Yeah, I'm going to the UK just to go to RuneFest. I'm going to the United Kingdom for less than 3 days. I had to pay $13 and do this form just so they give me the credit to come in. Now, if I got to the airport and I didn't do that and I try to sneak in, would Britain like me? Would I be would they be happy with me? I'm not doing anything. I'm just here for 3 days. Yeah, they wouldn't even let me in. Back or sort yourself out for a flight because you're not coming in.
Yeah.
And that's the way the world works. If you're gonna go anywhere in the world, it's not because we want it to be this way. I'd prefer if I just had a passport, I can go anywhere in the world and not have to do extra shit. But that's not the way the world works. And sadly, what people don't realize is cartels aren't an extra country thing. Like, oh, they ship the drugs here, it gets over the border, and it magically appears in every crack dealer's hand. No, there's a network of people in America that are part of the cartel that move these things to other places in America. So you want them to exist in our country as we fight them outside? What's wrong with you?
Go watch Narco.
Watch Breaking Bad.
I mean, yeah, Breaking
Bad. Anything involving drugs, and you'll see there's no sense in waging a war out externally while on the inside we're just letting everyone do as they please. It makes no sense. And I'm sorry, I know some people will get fucked over for this. I know that. It's like we said earlier, you're casting out a big net and you're bound to catch a couple of good fish. You're gonna catch a dolphin in there and you're gonna feel bad about it because you didn't want to catch a dolphin. But at the end of the day, if we can treat it with humanity, if we can treat it with humanity, we can treat it with dignity, respect, we can understand what we're really trying to work for as a country. I don't feel like any of my friends, my family, my people, anybody listening right now, you shouldn't fear for yourself. Don't fear for your children. Don't fear for your neighbor. Fear what is already the present. When you have to walk outside and hold your shit close to your body, when you got to mind your pockets everywhere you are, you can't be wearing a color on this certain street. You can't be wearing a necklace on that street. And you want to worry about the government coming and taking you out of this hellhole? How about we improve the hellhole before we worry about being removed from it? Everyone's acting like we live in the utopia of the universe here. We don't. We live in hell, and we're trying to unhell it.
Yeah.
I live in LA, bro. Don't let me get started about how cartels run this whole fucking goddamn place.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those people that have these strong opinions live in places that don't have this problem. So, yeah, you understand the problem before you have opinion on this one, I would say.
Yeah, when you live in LA your whole life, talk to me about cartels, talk to me about immigration, talk to me about illegal shit, and then we'll have an understanding.
At how much drug smuggling rings and, you know, sex rings and human trafficking there is and where they are, and they don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, look at this image. This is just showing you the traffic routes through Mexico.
Yeah.
That easy. They have roads. We know about the roads, but they still have them, and we don't stop them. There it is.
Yeah, that's not to mention the Gulf of America boating. I mean.
Oh yeah, submarines for days full of cocaine. Hey.
Yeah, I think we should get in our 2 random topics.
I think that is a perfect time and a perfect segue. I don't want to get my blood pressure any higher. As you can tell, I was starting to get a little, you know. Yeah, it's a sensitive subject for me, man, because like people don't understand what I live with every single day that I walk outside my doors. My office, like 10 feet away from me, gang, every single day there's a new gang tag, or there's a homeless dude taking a shit on the stairs. There's shit on the stairwell in front of my office, guys. And you guys want to sit here and worry about if someone's gonna come take your child out of an elementary school because they're not registered? Guys, I'm sorry that this might sound bad. There are bigger fish to fry than little Ronaldo sitting inside of grade school. He's not the target at all. If he does become the target, everyone will agree. We really wish he wasn't a part of this. So just remember that. Like, don't the rest of the country, rest of the world, don't look at America like, oh my God, social injustice is going on over there. Look at America like, no, we're trying to fix the social injustice we've let permeate for decades. Now let's move into our surprises. You first, Suit. Hit me.
I thought we're flip a coin. I think that's how we do it, right?
Oh yeah, let's flip a coin about it. What do you wanna? What do you call it? Heads or tails? Tails.
I'm always tails.
All right, so I'll always be heads by default then. Let's flip a coin.
It's tails. I'm gonna have to go first.
It's heads.
No. Okay, you first.
All right. I want to hear, and I want reasons why. Which is the better orange drink, Tang or Sunny D?
Oh. I don't think I've ever compared those 2 drinks, but they are very similar, aren't they? Oh. So I haven't had Tang in probably 10, 15 years. I recently just had Sunny D because it was at the store and I wanted my 4-year-old son, or about to be 4-year-old son, to experience Tang or Sunny D, so I bought it for him, and I realized how gross it is as an adult. I honestly don't like either one of them now, but I think years ago I would have definitely said Tang over Sunny D.
Well, why though?
I don't know. That's a hard one. I don't have a recent palate. It's not one of those things that, you know, I've had recently where I can say, oh, I definitely like Coke more than Pepsi, right? It's yeah, I don't know. What is your stance on this?
I think Tang has more, as Trixie said it perfectly, Tang has more of an acidic kick to it, and Sunny D's got more of that like
fake ass orange juice.
Yeah, like I could taste the yellow. But it has this weird nostalgia for it.
Sunny D is definitely sweeter, less acidic, but Tang has got that tangy. I like the tangy. I think I like that more.
It goes real well with the smoke. I can't lie. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that either. But yeah, I've actually recently started cutting out like really high sugar drinks because it's just basically terrible for you. So I've been trying to do less of that shit, and that is basically pure sugar. So.
Hey, I'm never gonna force you to smoke anything except a cigar and a single malt whiskey over ice. That's it.
A Romeo and Juliet.
Yup. Yeah. See, everyone knows the brand, baby. That's the one right there. Romeo and Juliet. This one, like.
I only really smoke cigars very rare occasions. Maybe if I'm in Vegas or something. But when we hang out, I'll definitely smoke one. All right, you want mine now?
I'm
this
down.
Is an easy one. All right, it's Super Bowl weekend next weekend.
Let's fucking go!
Go Birds. So the Eagles and the Chiefs. Who do you pick? Who's your choice? Who's your choice here?
Hey, I gotta stop the music for this one, chat. Give me one moment.
He's pulling his cock out.
I am actually, but I gotta put it away because, you know, TOS.
It's
But
18 and under.
no, even if it was 18 and over, I've graduated. I'm like a 25 and over now. That's too immature for me. There's a limit now. Eventually it'll be 30 and over, and by then, Lord knows. But fuck you, Patrick Mahomes. Fuck you, Chiefs.
All right.
I used to be a hardcore Raiders fan when they were in Oakland. When they moved
I'm
to,
sorry.
I know. Thank you. When they moved to Las Vegas, I could no longer hold any water for them. It's I just don't like Las Vegas. It's like the capital of sin to me, and it's so disgusting as far as weather goes. Why would anyone build a city there? So because of all of that, and I don't like the Chiefs. Fuck the Chiefs. Fuck Patrick Mahomes. Let's go Eagles. Let's go. I'll be in a Buffalo Wild Wings with Brody, just getting fucking drunk, cheering for a team I don't really care about.
Every year I go to at least one Eagles game in Philly. Most of the time I try to do two. This year we only did one. And it was last weekend, so I met my mom there. We went to the Eagles game against the Redskins in the playoffs, and we were downtown when all that shit was going off. You know, the crazy Eagles fans. You know, everyone hates us. We don't care. But as soon as people started climbing up on the dump trucks and getting kind of rowdy, we were trying to get the hell out of there because we didn't want to be part of the on the news. But yeah,
you don't want to get caught in a side shot like you were you were a part of that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't need to be on the news and lose a clearance because I was at a.
All right, hey, Ma, let's dip into this hotel real quick. They got a nice bar. Just stay in there until it all moves.
But looking at it from a sports fan, even if you weren't an Eagles or Chiefs fan, and I think that's the biggest thing here. Like, when you're not a fan of the two teams in the Super Bowl, like, who do you pick, right? Statistically, I can't find a category that the Eagles aren't going to be better in or haven't been better in. Mahomes isn't really playing all that well this year. He's got a couple really lights out games, yeah, but statistically, he's squeaking by. Their point differential from the Chiefs has not been good.
Is that his fault though, as the offense, or is there like parts of the Chiefs defense?
It's not Mahomes' fault. Mahomes is good. Whether you like the guy or not, and whether or not he's like the new face of the NFL, the new Brady replacement, whatever. Put that aside. He's good. He's up there with the best, right? But he has not been playing at that level this year. Obviously, they don't have the same weapons they have. Their defense is good, but not the level the Philadelphia Eagles defense is. Like point differential, turnovers. Like the Eagles are
special teams even.
Out. Yeah, like everything goes statistically favors the Eagles in this. I love the Eagles. Obviously, I'm a little biased on this topic, but I just don't see how the Eagles don't win. You can say the refs are going to help Chiefs. I just don't think it's going to matter.
I was about to say. I'm like, I can tell you.
I don't think it's going to matter. It's going to be like the Redskins game. It's going to be, at least a two score lead at the end. I don't think it's going to be close, but we'll see.
I'm rooting for the for the Eagles because the Chiefs. I just don't want to see Patrick Mahomes on that climb some more. I think it's been really fake. I think they just they saw the success that Brady did for the NFL and how he became like the placemat for like the NFL globally, and they're trying to replicate that with Patrick Mahomes in a lot of ways. And I'm tired of seeing
Taylor Swift.
Please don't let me know she's at the fucking thing again. I don't need to know it. It's not that important to my life. It's not important to anyone's life. You're just trying to associate your brand with that.
We'll do drinking game. We'll have to drink every time we see her on the camera.
Honestly, I like that. Every time we see or hear about Taylor Swift on the NFL or in an NFL broadcast, we're gonna have to take a shot.
Yeah.
Dude, we'll be in the hospital by the end of the game.
Yeah, halftime. You excited for the halftime show, by the way?
Oh yeah, Kendrick, eh? Oh, dude, I think I'm putting that one together. Fun fact.
Yeah.
I think Wait, where's the Super Bowl?
New Orleans.
No, I'm not doing it then. No, I'm not doing it. I thought I was thinking of the other one that was at SoFi.
Oh, okay.
Because I work at SoFi sometimes here and there. Oh, I shouldn't even say that. Now I'm gonna get my clearance revoked. But anyways.
Yeah. It was a good week. I like the topics. A lot of heated ones. no matter what you say, you're gonna piss off somebody. But hopefully, we kind of walk through, play a little bit of devil's advocate. Had some good topics here, but I know you got heated on one. I got heated on one. There's some, a lot of executive orders, a lot of changes in the first week of Trump in office, and a lot of people are kind of trying to figure it all out. And yeah, I think next week we'll follow up maybe on a couple of them, see how they developed, especially the return to work as things come out. But yeah, go ahead.
I want to say something on behalf of Suit and Sandals podcast as a whole, on behalf of me and my brother in arms here. We advocate for equality. We advocate for equity. We advocate for fairness in all ways and rights. And I don't want anyone to believe that at any point in time, anything that we have said is advocating for any sort of dictatorship, totalitarianism, infringement of human rights or liberties. That is not what I'm after. That is not something I like to see. And I personally don't agree with not only the way the world has gone so far, but possibly the way the world is going to go. My stance, and I believe Rebel's stance on this all too, is to see the greatest and the best of the American community, of the world community, the global community, to have everyone have a fair voice, a fair shot, a fair stance, and to provide safe, reliable, clean places to live, work, eat, breathe. We don't want anyone to ever be suffering. We don't want anyone to believe that we don't care. As two people, as an organization, an entity, there's a lot of heart in this, a lot of heart in Suit and Sandals. And we want you guys to know that our views are towards that heart. It's never against anyone. It's never for a personal vendetta or some sort of like, how should I say, petty reasoning or anything that you could try to misconstrue our words like, you see, they're racist. You see, they like drama. No, we're not about that. If you breathe and you are here, you're one of us and we're one of you. So remember that always. We're not here to create more problems. We're here to help everyone understand that we're all going through the same problems.
I like what you said there.
Love you guys.
That's a good way to end it. We'll see you next week with a brand new topic. Thanks for coming.
Love you guys. See you next week. Stay happy.
Bye.